When the day started in the pre-match show, I said I had the Rocky theme playing in my head. But ever since Australia batted, I have the Mad Max Fury theme playing in my head because they have gone completely crazy after how Maxwell finished it off and then the bowlers came and completely finished it off for Australia. Like Joyda said, they should aim at under 100, and that's what they've done. They've listened to the professor in the house, Mr. Joy Bhattacharya's request. 90 all out is what Netherlands have, completely been demolished by the Australian bowling. We are back at Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami and I have the Professor Joyda in the house and DK in the house, who I thought you'd got the prediction right, but we have to clap for the professor first and foremost. Joyda, your
I'm happy, but for very different reasons.
But DK, complete dominance, 110-run win for Australia. This is the Australia we know. Where has this Australia been? This is the Australia that wins 5 World Cups, right?
100%. Annihilation. That's what this game was. It put Netherlands in its place. It said that we are way off, and it was great to see Australia go about the way they went about today, with the bat, with the ball, on the field as well. Complete team performance in every way. The batters stood up, the bowlers were phenomenal, and the fielding was brilliant too. As good a game as you can ask for. I think it was pretty much the perfect game.
You know, Joyda, in 2003, it's that World Cup scarred me as a child because that Australian team used to be this dominant team that you just didn't want as fans to watch. And today, we saw this team again because like DK said, with the bat, with the ball, and they were brilliant in the field, that Maxwell run out and then the Warne catch.
Absolutely. And see, what's dangerous about this Australian team is they had 2 tough first matches. You know, first India, and then you're playing against South Africa, who was absolutely brilliant. But then they've got 3 matches in which they've got momentum. And an Australian side with momentum is always a dangerous side because they're a side on the up, they're looking dangerous, they're looking sharp. And sharp is not just anything else. You know, the kind of catches dropped by Australia, you don't associate it with Australia. This is a team that, you'll know that this is the Australia that you remember. And I think that's bad news for all the other teams in the tournament. But I think it's good news for the World Cup because a good Australian side, I think, is an essential part of having a good World Cup.
You know, DK, when I was sent to do chores as a child and there was a list that my mum used to give me and I used to tick mark everything, that's what Australia has done today because they've tick marked everything. We couldn't ask for anything more from this side.
You know, at the top, if you had said that you're going to win by 310 runs, they would have been like, thank you, I'm very happy. And I think that's what happened today. Netherlands, probably their poorest game of cricket in the World Cup so far. They were due one, and it so happened to be today. The other games they've competed, but today was a day when they were completely destructive and demolished by a very, very strong Australian team. I don't think Australia would get too carried away by this performance because at the end of the day, they know a lot of things fell in place for them. Their batters did well, the fielding was great, and as I said, the bowling was solid as well. But it's a game that will give them confidence and momentum heading into the World Cup because, not heading into the World Cup, heading into the second phase of the World Cup because at the start you felt like, wow, is this the Australian team we know? We're used to a much more strong and competent unit, and with good news that's soon going to follow, with probably Travis Head being fully fit and he's going to come into the team as well. It does look like a team that is ready for bigger battles.
But Joyda, you know, we've spoken about the batting in the mid-match show. They've used 5 bowlers. All 5 bowlers have got wickets. We'll speak about Zampa separately because DK has been predicting this every day. So we'll speak about him separately, but all 5 bowlers have come to the party. It's just the bowling card a bowling coach wants to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Though I'd say Mitch Starc would still be disappointed. I think he'd back himself to get a couple up front, but he was also good. He was always looking dangerous. Pat Cummins came in, took in that wicket. Mitch Marsh, I thought one of the dismissals was a bit fortunate, but they've all done the job. And I think the important thing for them is that everyone is getting wickets, and even if your wickets are not the best of wickets, wickets under your belt makes a huge difference. It gives you that confidence to bowl. It gives the captain the confidence to throw the ball to you. And Mitch Marsh bowling is an important thing because Mitch Marsh bowling means that even if they play Cam Green, they don't need Stoinis to bowl. And if Stoinis is there, then they have 7 bowling options, which is excellent for a team. So I think all in all, it really works for them.
DK, just a little bit more on their bowling. Like Joyda is saying, Mitch Marsh is that key bowler for Australia. He has been riddled with injury, but it's always good to see him back with the ball.
What Mitch Marsh's role will do right now is they will start thinking whether they can bring in Travis Head for a Cameron Green. Now that is an
Yes.
area that they'll be exploring soon, because if he can bowl the medium pace that Stoinis or Cameron Green was giving, why not play Travis Head instead of him, which will obviously Travis Head being the off-spinning option, Mitchell's Marsh being the fast bowling all-rounder. So that in many ways helps the dynamics of the team to have an extra medium pacer and an extra spinner. So that is something they'll be exploring. So that again is a tick for Australia in terms of how they want to construct their 11. But I would still stick with the Stoinis or Cameron Green, because that's a very specialist position as number 6. But we don't know what Australia is going to do. It can be difficult to drop between Smith and Labuschagne. That's a choice that they have to make very, very soon once they feel Travis Head is fit. But for the moment, Mitchell Marsh bowling well augurs well for them. I don't think he was great, but I think he was good enough to pick up the 2 wickets.
No, absolutely. And I totally agree. I mean, it's a really good spot, because I think that's what they're trying to do. They're saying, can Mitch Marsh bowl? Okay. Now, if Mitch Marsh is bowling, my options have increased. Now, they still may not use that option. It's a different matter. They may not use that option. But they can say, Travis Head can do a straight swap now. And that makes a difference, because see, whenever you're going in, you're going to go in, 2-3 things are going to happen. One is that, injuries can happen anytime. Now I have an option. Mitch Marsh may be able to bowl. And look, he didn't bowl great, let's be honest. But he bowled well enough to be able to take 2 wickets, and he's confident enough at this point in time. And that is what is happening with this Australian team. Things are coming together. And now a very key component of their success, recent success, is also coming back in. So all of this is coming together at the right time for them. And I think they're peaking or looking good around the right time in the tournament.
Well, DK, we have to talk about Zampa, because you've been predicting him every game. It's been 3 games. He's got 4 wickets in each game. I was reading this somewhere that before the India game, actually, he had this freak accident where he almost broke his teeth in the pool. And then before the last game against Pakistan, he had a really bad back spasm, and he got into the team just a minute before the game started. So considering these injuries, he's done really well.
He's a man who is fun to be around. I've heard he's the life of the party. He is someone that the Australian team pivots around in terms of the fun moments off the field. But most importantly, he's just picked up 12 wickets in 3 games and gone to the top of the charts as the leading wicket taker in this World Cup. And that is quite a good achievement. Midway through the tournament, they would definitely require a Zampa who's in form, and they have got him already. He is in the wicket-taking form. That is very, very important. It's just not stopping runs. It's about picking wickets through the middle. Again, a moment that Australia will look back and say, I'm very happy right now. A lot of things just falling in place. The pieces of the puzzle just getting there and thereabouts. There are a few areas, as we have spoken about, that they need to tinker a bit. But for the moment, a lot of the things that they didn't know was happening, or would have rather wanted it to happen in the first week, is happening in the second week and the third week, which is good news for Australia.
But Joyda, I'm told that the most 4 wickets haul for an Australian in ODIs is Shane Warne. He's got 13 spinners. And then there is Zampa, who's got 12. So it just shows us how much he's grown.
No, and they always look, they always rate him. Zampa as a spinner, they always rate. They've looked at him as somebody who, look, again, never the danger of having a Shane Warne in your history is you're always going to be unfairly compared by somebody who's an all-time great. Shane Warne will find a place in an all-time Test 11. So, don't put that burden on somebody like a Zampa. He's young, he's a good cricketer. Not young, he's 34 years old, but he's a very, very competent cricketer. He's a very combative cricketer. He's a very good cricketer. And in this kind of format, if they put runs on the board, he's 31 years old. If he puts runs on the board, if Australia puts runs on the board, he's a difficult bowler to get away in these conditions. People like him, Rashid, will get more and more dangerous 2 times. One is when your team has put now runs on the board. Secondly, if the pitches start getting lower and slower, which at some point in this tournament, they will start to get slightly lower and slower. And I think that's when he'll come into his own. So they need Zampa up, and he's really up and firing.
No, that's very interesting, because we are halfway through the tournament, DK. So the pitches are going to get lower and slower. But what is it that Zampa is doing? Do you think it's just like the tight lengths and the line that he's bowling is just very tight? Or what is it that he's doing that is making him stand out so much?
When he wasn't bowling well, he tends to bowl a lot fuller. Right now, he's pulled his length back a bit, and the ball seems to zip through off the pitch, which is what is getting him the LBWs and bowls a lot more. And that is a sign of a wrist spinner in good rhythm. So that is the biggest part and the best part of Adam Zampa right now. He isn't bowling the ball too full. Only if they look to hit him that they go too full so that they don't get elevation. Other than that, he sticks in that good length between the 4 and 6 meter mark where he gets most of his wickets, which is very good news for Australia. And I'll tell you a very interesting stat. Shane Warne is a great test bowler. He's a very, very good one-day bowler as well. But one man who's actually picked up more fifers than Shane Warne is Sachin Tendulkar. Just to put a smile on your face.
And many faces watching, not just my face, many faces.
And both times in Kochi for some reason.
Yes.
That one stadium, or was it? Yeah, Kochi. It was Kochi.
You would know that stat, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
The two
yeah, I did.
fifers.
I've read this before, and well, stats said one should know, right? But
I like it. That somewhere we have this. We have to get Sachin into the conversation.
have to. Every-
Otherwise, how will we get a smile on our face?
Very
not
true.
smile on my face. He's the god. No, we have to worship the god once a day. But great day for Adam Zampa today. Not very long ago, he had given away 113 runs. From that to come back so much stronger and then do what he does really shows his character. Not such a great day for Netherlands. And when we look at what Netherlands has done so far, really nothing to go back home with. Besides, of course, the fielding. I don't think they'll really go back home saying they'll be proud of how they've played today.
A tough day for Netherlands. Look, I think coming into the tournament, a lot of us would have expected many such matches. They've avoided it for 4, but this one was on the cards. It was just one of those days when things just didn't go right from the toss. I think everything went wrong, and it was a day where they were blown away. Chasing 400 is tough for good teams. I mean, Netherlands with their batting obviously is a mountain too steep to climb. I have the empathy for them. I don't think we should read too much into that scorecard. Just a very, very ordinary day for a team that is fought really well in this tournament, but they'll pick up the pieces, and I'm sure they'll put up a couple of good matches from here on in this tournament. But most importantly, I think what we spoke about in the start of the show is what this World Cup is going to require: a good, strong Australian team, and that's always a good sign. Mid-tournament, you get the feeling that they are a team which is slowly finding its feet, and a lot of teams will be like, okay, Australia is now doing well. And that's a reaction that a lot of teams will have.
But Joy, the lowest score this World Cup with 90. We spoke about this, yesterday. Bangladesh was playing. We spoke about it in the comm box as well. They were playing maybe for personal records. Netherlands came out. Vikramjit came out with an intent. So they had a clear plan saying either we do or we die, because that's how they came out and they started.
Yeah, they came out, they started well, they went for that. They went for their shots as well. I mean, they got out, they took a couple of catches in the boundary, one off a cut. So it's not that they were playing defensive and they got out. They got out going for their shots, and good for them. And that's the only way to go. But that's the thing that we always said, that bowlers like Zampa and bowlers like Stark for teams like this are difficult bowlers to face. They're not easy for you to face. They're not going to see a spinner leggy of the quality of Zampa that often. And that's what gets to them. That when you have situations like that and you have the pressure, the mountain of runs on top of you, then this can become very, very difficult for a team to play.
So let's have a look at the points table, because this is a massive, massive victory. We spoke about this, that Australia will be looking at wanting to up their net run rate. And wow, that net run rate has really shot up, because Australia, I think, were at minus...
Yeah, they were minus some.
Minus something, and they've gone into a plus 1.142. So it just shows us what this massive victory has done to Australia. And DK, this points table is now again the Formula 1 table that you were talking about.
Yeah, it is very obvious, isn't it? You can see there's a top of the table clash, and I think the top 4 that we see today could very well be the semi-finalists. And India could take on Australia, and South Africa takes on New Zealand. That looks like most likely on the cards at this point of time. If New Zealand keep playing the cricket they're playing, and if South Africa keep playing the cricket they're playing, but they must have got this massive, when you have these car races, they say, talk about nitro fuel. I think that's what they got from today's game. A bit of a nitro blast they got, and they've just skyrocketed. Our director just telling me that from 0.193, they've gone to plus 1.1, which is not easy. 310 runs doesn't happen every day, and it is quite 309. In fact, is quite the difference in margin, and rightfully so. They've earned it. They've had a tough couple of weeks. I mean, tough 10 days at the start of the tournament. 2 tough matches, just like what Joyda said. But now I've found a certain mojo with which they'd like to propel forward even more. Maybe another nitrous boost would help them in the future games. But for the moment, they'll take what they have. And the good thing is Pakistan not too far behind. I thought it'll be a massive gap. But the emotional team that Pakistan is, I find it very interesting to see how they move forward in this tournament.
Joyda, you're the professor, the maths professor, history professor, but let's use your mathematical skills. Please explain to us what this points table looks to you like.
No, there is nothing out here. Sri Lanka, England is the last game after which all teams would have played 5. That means all teams would have gone, of their 9 games, they would have played 5. And whatever happens there, you will see another team going on 4. So clearly what's happened is the top 4 have differentiated themselves. The question here is that there are some teams which are not too far behind. So if England wins this one, they also go 2 and 3 and they win by a good margin, then they also get into that sort of mid-table what we are talking about. But what the problem with the mid-table is, normally an exciting mid-table is when there are 2 and then there are 5 or 6 in the middle and there are 2, 3 at the bottom. The problem here is you have a 4 right on top. Then you have the sort of mid-table which is concentrated out there at 4 points. You'll have 3 on 4 points at the end of this and you'll have 3 on 2 points. So basically only one who's really, in that sense, Australia, England, South Africa, Australia, slightly ahead. You'll have 3 on 4 points at the end of this encounter. And then one of Sri Lanka or England, Bangladesh and Netherlands will be back down there on 2 points. Now, what will also matter a lot is what are the games remaining for you? So if you look at Australia and say that Australia, who is Australia lost to? Australia's lost against teams they think they'll lose against. So you look at the teams they have an Afghanistan or a Bangladesh, and I'm not counting Afghanistan as a bad team at all, but they'll still say they're easier matches than perhaps, they've done the India match, they've done the Pakistan match, they'll back themselves to beat Afghanistan and Bangladesh. If they win those two, how many do they have? They
10.
end up, they're on
5 points.
Yes.
5 points. Then one victory among the other countries. With this kind of table, you could it's a very likely scene, especially if India and New Zealand keep winning. 10 points could be a very, very likely qualifying rate with run rate.
All right, so I think I'm going to give you all a second chance because we did this before the World Cup started when we asked all our experts who the top 4 are going to be. And I think mostly unanimous answers were India, Pakistan, England and Australia were the unanimous answers, if I remember correctly. But DK, you going first. I know you were very passionate about South Africa. We are halfway through the World Cup.
He's been backing them from the start.
He's been backing them.
Interestingly, Joyda, I actually said the 4 that she said. I just felt that South Africa will be the outlandish choice, but I felt they'll have a good World Cup. But they've really surprised how good a World Cup they're having so far. My current top 4 will be number 1 India, number 2 New Zealand, number 3 South Africa, and number 4 will be Australia. That's the order that I think the top 4 will be in. But having said that, as I said, I gave credit to you at the start of the pre-show, and I think I should say that you said Afghanistan. It'll be great, but yeah. This is my top 4. Yours, Joyda?
See, right now I have to go with you. I would love to see one of England and Pakistan make a serious run at it. Because I feel that otherwise the tournament towards the end will just be, we'll become like like France before the revolution, haves and have-nots, So I want to see that table, it's not just the top 4. It would be really interesting if the top 6 happened. If, England wins 2-3 matches in a row, Pakistan wins a couple of matches in a row, because they're the teams who can threaten. Even if Afghanistan, I'm sure Afghanistan may win another match. But for Afghanistan to win another 3 matches, I think is difficult at this stage in time, in this stage of their development. So I'd like to see England or Pakistan make a run just to make it exciting. But that top 6, that top 4 right now looks difficult to dislodge.
But Joyda, were New Zealand and South Africa in your top 4 before?
No. My top 4, again, exactly the same as him. India, Pakistan, Australia, England. Because England, nobody would ever think that this England would turn up. Nobody would ever think that this England, after 4 years and so much success in white ball cricket with 4 all-rounders, suddenly decided, no, we're going to play specialist players. I do not understand. I mean, England suddenly woke up one morning and said that I want to play like Pakistan. Completely different team. I do not understand what they were trying to do.
Well, we'll try and understand what they're doing because England play tomorrow. England take on Sri Lanka.
So actually, I'll stop you there, Rasayam.
Yes.
What is your top 4? I'm very
exactly.
You're always asking
now
us.
I'm in the spot.
No, really, I really would want to know.
And Sachin Tendulkar is not playing for any of the teams. I just want you to know that right now.
He's playing for India. He's always playing for India.
Okay,
so,
sorry.
Well,
How could I ever do that? Sorry.
Yeah, so India I think will top. I think it's going to be India, New Zealand, South Africa. It's difficult it's going to be Australia. It is the top 4, which we see right now. I see them going through. But my heart still really wants that underdog story, like I said. It's a rocky tune. I really want Afghanistan too.
But you said the Mad Max tune is taken over.
I know, but now we're going back, because we're going back to who's going to be the top 4. So that's why the underdog story. Well, Mad Max is there through. I mean, they've done what they have today. But we have to, like you said, You'd like to see what England's going to do. We are very confused with how they've come to this World Cup. Hopefully they'll change things around. They play tomorrow. They take on Sri Lanka, and this match is happening in Bengaluru. Well, England has had a World Cup which none of us can make sense of. They had that big upset against Afghanistan, and then they had a match which they would just want to totally erase from their minds. 229 runs, if I'm not mistaken. So they are coming very low in confidence, but they're almost like, well, wounded lions, because they would want to come back stronger. And well, Sri Lanka, on the other hand, they've come from that win against Netherlands. Not very comprehensive, but they've still managed to get past the finish line. DK, what do you see happening tomorrow?
Interestingly, England start the game tomorrow as the team that is slightly lesser confident. You know,
Over
from
Sri
the
Lanka?
11 over Sri Lanka, and from the 11, obviously Reece Topley is out of the tournament itself, and he's been their best bowler. So you know that is a big miss. They are going to have to play either Sam Curran or Chris Woakes, one of them for sure, because they will go for experience. And most likely it could be Sam Curran, and he actually has not been bowling that well. I have a strong feeling they'll bring in Moeen Ali as well. So even though it's a small ground, I would like to see them bring in Moeen Ali, because Sri Lanka have a couple of left-handers. They need to deal with it, and most importantly, they need the batting. And they will choose between Liam Livingstone and Moeen Ali. What has flabbergasted me, just like what Joyda said, is they've always had this template of batting deep, and they always like their all-rounders, and that's been their success mantra. You do bat deep, and hence they start with a bang. They keep batting through the middle with a high tempo, and they set the standards as to how white ball cricket should be played. A couple of matches here and there, and they've made a few choices where you're going, wow, you know, you had 7 David Willies coming. So are you sure about it? And I think they will go back to the tried and trusted formula where they back their all-rounders. They have some serious experience, and a lot of players who have playing this World Cup have won ICC tournaments. They'll have to go back and draw a lot of energy from that. Their batting is look completely off color, very, very, it looks a unit which is completely devoid of confidence. So they will need one of their big players to stand up and say, hey, we are going to be counted this World Cup. Because I can tell you one thing, if England start getting into rhythm, we'll get an even stronger feeling than what we get about Australia. That's the kind of talent pool they have and the firepower they have, because when they get going, they're a very scary team. We saw how they demolished us in the T20 World Cup in Australia. Like, they smashed us. And that's the kind of team they are, a very fearful unit to play up against. And I would love for them to, you know, start well tomorrow and have a terrific game. Not that I want Sri Lanka to struggle, but I'm just saying that they are a team which has the potential to run for the title and run hard. And if that doesn't happen, it will be a World Cup which will be in many ways depleted. I mean, let's say a World Cup that is probably not having the best teams vying for that top 4.
Joyda, I remember England, when they came into India, Bairstow was complaining that the flight took 38 hours to land into India. It almost feels like the team hasn't come to India because it's just not the team that anyone expected this kind of a performance from.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. They've looked tentative. Most importantly, they've gone away from what made them successful. That is the big problem. The template of saying bat deep, therefore bat with confidence, bat fearlessly because you have lots of players. If you're going to bat David Willey at 7, that's not going to happen. And their icons have not got runs. For them to win, Joss Buttler needs to get runs. And Joss Buttler not getting runs, it really puts a lot of pressure. You know, Bairstow has not got as many runs as they want to. So after that, and I feel that they're trying to find a way to make Harry Brook play. At this point in time, really, I think if you look at all the teams, their model was actually all-rounders. So they had Liam Strang, they had Sam Curran, they had Chris Woakes, they had Moeen Ali. First they dropped Moeen Ali, then they dropped the other 3. They have to bring back at least 2-3 of their all-rounders, otherwise their batting order does not make sense. And if they're looking to their bowling, it's not that the new bowlers other than Reece Topley has done anything from them. Now Reece Topley is injured, so it's not even there, you know.
You know, also in defense of Joss Buttler and Matthew Mott, their coach, why their all-rounders were successful is because their primary skill they were doing very well. Like if you take Woakes, he was bowling well. Sam Curran is bowling great at the death. If you take Livingstone, he was batting well. Moeen Ali was always giving you enough. This tournament, the primary skills of these players have not come to the fore. Liam Livingstone has had an ordinary tournament. Chris Wokes has looked completely off colour. Sam Curran has been very ordinary by the standards that he set for himself. Mark Wood hasn't bowled great. So, all the bowlers are going for runs. So, as a captain, you're thinking, who is that guy who's going to give me some sort of balance and some sort of, decorum when in through the middle? And, they haven't found that bowler. Rich Topley was the guy up top, but even he is injured now. And poor guy gets injured quite a bit. So, they are stuck. Bairstow not getting runs up top. Root got a couple of 50s. Malan got 100. But nobody other than that actually have really lit up this tournament. Harry Brook got a 50 and he's batted well. But, I do agree with they have to make a couple of hard choices. One that might be against the grain for the moment, but I think that needs to be taken for tomorrow's game.
Well, let's have a look at Sri Lanka's squad because they also have a whole lot of injuries and a whole lot of new people coming in. Shanaka is out, Patirana is out, Joyda, your favourite, comes into the squad, Angelo Matthews is in. But Sri Lanka also have a lot of questions they want to answer because, yes, they won against Netherlands, but not comprehensively. After having them 91 for 5, they couldn't finish off the tail.
Yeah. Most of their questions are to their doctors. Who's fit, who's unfit, who's fit. And this has been the story of Sri Lanka, unfortunately, since the Asia Cup. They haven't had their players. I mean, if you now look at it, 6 of their top players are not playing for some reason or the other, between Hasaranga, Shanaka, Madhushanka. I mean, so many of them are injured, Chamira, so many of them are out. It is difficult, but they've battled through. And they've battled through. I thought their last win was a character win because first what happened was they had Netherlands in the back foot, then they gave away that big partnership, then they went 3 down with about 170 still to go and still made it. So I think what Sri Lanka has done throughout this tournament and even in the Asia Cup is shown a lot of character. Now, the interesting part of it is they've got back a player like Angelo Matthews, who's a very interesting personality. I mean, again, either you love him or you hate him. But he's a very divisive character in Sri Lankan cricket. I mean, there are people who swear by Angelo Matthews, they don't. But they're probably at the stage in their tournament where they say, we have nothing to lose. With this kind of injury, let's get him back. And I find it fascinating because in the last 3 years, he's played 3 one-day international matches. So, I mean, but yet he is a very big man in Sri Lankan cricket. So he's there. Yesterday, I think he's made a statement saying he's prepared to bowl as well. So yeah, that'd be very interesting.
He's an exciting character. You can't take that away. He's
an exciting character. Even in the previous World Cup, if you remember, he hit a century when everyone thought that he's not the player that he's supposed to be looking like, or he hit a century. So he's always come back with a vengeance. And there are players who do that very well, When you drop them, when they come back, Chris Gayle was like that. You drop him, he'll come back, he'll smash you.
He's talking about the RCB KKR shift there. I know. He was in RCB there. Or rather the other way around. He was in KKR. They didn't retain him and he went to RCB and man, did he play a knock against KKR. Joyda would have been in the great seat watching it and thinking, wow, that's a mistake maybe that I made. But just sorry about what I'm going to say, but just to say about how confused is probably the word that I'll use for England. We saw videos of Jofra Archer training and all that. So Rich Topley gets injured. You're thinking, wow, okay, Jofra Archer is in, and suddenly they bring in Bryden Carr. So Jofra Archer has been there in India. He's training. You got the feeling that he'd be ready at the start, but he's still not ready. He's still traveling, but they've got another replacement from Durham, which is a cold place. Anyway, moving on to Sri Lanka, I guess.
Well, about Archer, I think not only England fans, a lot of Mumbai fans are wondering when he's ever going to play.
Exactly. Look, and if he's not fit enough, why is he your travelling reserve?
Yes.
There must be a reason. The reason travelling reserve, they don't say he's our guest artist or something. They say he's your travelling reserve, which reserve means if somebody goes out, I come in. It's like the famous 1986 where Manoj Prabhakar was bought in as a reserve and Madan Lal was playing counties, they picked him up and played him instead. Of course, they ended up winning, so it didn't matter to anybody. But that's the point, that decisions like this confuse not only the people who are us in the studio, but also their fans. That then why did you take Jofra Archer? That's everyone will ask that question. Unless you want, MI has told him to give him a good run in India, there's no other reason to take him there. Otherwise.
I think that he is injured and he was on his rehab. They were hoping that he'll get fit, but when this opportunity came, they must have tested him. He's still not ready. I think that could be the only one, but it just looks a bad picture. That's all.
Yeah, it looks not a good look.
All right, I think we should get into, you've gotten the prediction right. And you've gotten the Zampa prediction right as well. So who's going to be your player to watch out for tomorrow? One from each team.
For me, I'll go with David Malan. I think he'll be a key player for England. And for Sri Lanka, I'll go with Kusal Mendes.
Been fine form.
Difficult choice, and I'm not going to say Angelo Matthews. Okay, I'll say because he gets a chance of the top of the order. I'll say Kushal Pereira, definitely. And from the other side, I'd say that I feel Bairstow needs to make a statement up front. He really needs to make a statement. And what Bairstow is when he's at his best for England is he's a bully. He'll walk at you, big man. He's a bit like Hayden used to be, imposing presence. So if he imposes his presence on the match, I think it'll make a huge difference to England.
All right, we'll wait and watch if our experts' predictions are right again tomorrow, because we've got our predictions coming in right on the time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why aren't we asking you who you're to?
Why are you putting me in the spot?
Because I always want to know your choices from now on. It's very interesting. I feel you think very emotionally. So I'm pretty very intrigued by your choices.
No, but see, tomorrow I'm off, so my prediction doesn't work for tomorrow.
You can still make it.
Okay, I'll still make it. I think Butler. I would like to go with Butler because, like you said, he's key to England. So I think Butler is going to have a good day, and I'm going to go with Kushal Mendes as well.
Thank you.
So we'll wait and watch. I don't know why DK is putting me in this spot, but a fan. So my heart speaks. I have no knowledge, no analysis like the experts here. But now we have to go to our professor for him to give us the answers to his difficult exams and questions that he takes every day. Please, let's have a look at the joy factor.
But before the joy factor, I just want to tell you, today Netherlands tried very hard to destroy one of my questions. Because yesterday I had a question saying that the only time in World Cup history where one team, the number of runs they've scored, 3 team players in the opposition have scored more than this entire team. And it was Namibia was all out for 45, and I think Simons, Lehman, and one more, the Australian player, Hayden, got more than him. So today, look at the scores.
Yeah.
They came very close. Maxwell and Warne got more.
If they had been under 70, I think
71,
Smith also would have got
Smith was also there. So one of my questions, they tried very hard to destroy. I'm glad they didn't. Okay, let's see what today's question is. This cricketer whose name also makes a type of knife, played just one ODI. In that, he shares his debut with a future national captain, name him. And this thing, DK.
Is that Dirk Nannes there?
Perfect! Dirk Nannes, absolutely.
I knew
Dirk is a short knife. Dirk Nannes, and of course Tim Payne was the captain he made his debut with. One one-day international, of course he's played many T20s. And the reason I also ask is, of course, he's one player who could be, I don't know who he's supporting today.
Dirk Nannes for sure. I think he's obviously an Australian. He has both passports, but I think he'll be supporting Netherlands. He's obviously started from Netherlands. There'll be a lot of support for Australia from Aaron Finch, Shane Watson, but Dirk Nannes probably for...
Still there for the Netherlands.
Well, besides DK, let's see who's gotten it right. DK looked like a very proud student there.
Rajat Bhargav, he's answered some before. Well done, Rajat.
Well done, Rajat. You can see the smile on Joyda's face. I think you should give him a thumbs up, which is on the photograph.
Yeah, look, this thumbs up and all I'm tired of.
What did Manish want?
Manish wanted me to give flying kisses.
No, but then thumbs up,
one day he wants me to give a this thing salute, a Hitler salute. I don't. So you guys are getting me into trouble.
No, we need.
Here goes.
There goes. Joyda is a sport. We knew he'll do it for you, Rajat. So answer these questions tomorrow, day after. You might get a salute or you might get a dance step or something. We'll keep innovating every time.
I think you need to go.
Yeah.
This is the time.
You have a flight to catch.
You have a flight to catch, please.
All right, Joyda said it. It's time for all of us to go. It's not just for me to go. But, well, it's, gentlemen, just 8:59. It's record time because it's comprehensive and how by Australia, I think the largest margin during a World Cup that any team has achieved. It's always so much fun to have you all around. Professor Saab, who gives us history, maths, geography, everything. And with DK, always so much fun because there's so many stories which you want to hear and tell us when the screen's not.
I want to hear. That's right.
So thank you very much. I will join you all very soon. You have an early morning flight. Have a safe flight. Joyda, I will see you soon. Thank you very much. And I will see all of you all soon as well. That's all for now. But don't forget to join us tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Good night and goodbye.